As you know, we previously discussed the migrant situation that is currently happening in Greece, where there are people from Syria and other neighboring regions that are currently trying to get into Europe as asylum seekers and are going through Greece to do that, which is a pretty common process currently that's set up. But the influx of people right now has been very large, and Greece has not been handling that very well, as we last time saw, with them basically pushing people on boats with barely anything on them and kind of shipping them back to Turkey. Not great. So here's an update on that situation, and content warning, it's not going to be nice, unfortunately. I wish it were. But we're looking at this article from Al Jazeera. Greek police fire tear gas as refugees demand to leave Lesbos. It's an island in Greece. It's just the name. Get over it. Chanting freedom, the former inhabitants of burned Moria camp protest against plan to be moved to another facility. Yeah, so here's a picture. We can see things are looking not so nice. Greek police have fired tear gas during a protest by refugees and migrants demanding to leave the island of Lesbos after being left homeless by a blaze at Europe's largest refugee camp. It's always fun when police use tear gas, isn't it? Of course, I'm being facetious. No, it's not. It fucking sucks. Tear gas is terrible. It is a terrible experience for people. It definitely shouldn't be used on a group of refugees that have lost their, only home that they had there and that want to leave the island. Not cool. Under a hot sun on Saturday, the protesters on Saturday chanted freedom and no camp as authorities stepped up efforts to set up temporary accommodation for them on another part of Lesbos. More than 12,000 people have been sleeping rough since Wednesday, when flames swept through the notoriously overcrowded Moria camp. With Moria gutted, Saturday morning found men, women, and children sleeping under impoverished shelters made of reed socks, blankets, and salvaged tents. Oof. Over 12,000 people left homeless. That's terrible. What a terrible situation. And surely a difficult situation for the government there as well, Where are they gonna, just build housing for 12,000 people? It's not an easy problem, of course. Some protesters carried handwritten signs with messages including, "We don't want to go to hell like Moria again. Can you hear us, Mrs. Merkel?" and appealed to the German Chancellor. Police fired rounds of tear gas when some of the protesters attempted to march down a road leading to the island's main town of Mytilene. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct. Apologies. Which police had blocked while work on the new tenement settlement continued nearby. The confrontation was short-lived. Yeah, so the situation is not great. They should not be tear-gassing these people. They should not be tear-gassing migrants who want to leave the island. Understandably, once we get further in the article, it will become even more understandable. Al Jazeera's John Psaropoulos, reporting from a tent city that had sprung on the side of a highway on Lesbos, said the former Moria camp residents were adamant that they are not interested in going to yet another camp situation. They all say they want to move to mainland Greece and the rest of Europe. They are tired of living in temporary housing in makeshift huts underneath tarpaulin. So here we get to the main issue of, well, why don't they just go to Europe, forehead? Leaving the island would require bending European Union rules, under which asylum seekers reaching Greece's island from Turkey must stay there until they are either granted refugee status or deported back to Turkey. Authorities have said none of the camp's residents, except for 406 unaccompanied teenagers and children, would be allowed to leave the island, so over 12,000 people can't leave. The unaccompanied minors were flown to the Greek mainland on Wednesday, and several European countries have said they will take some of them in. Yeah. So that's the problem. The current European Union rules are in the way and should be bent. And I think they should be bent. Like, people should not be forced to be in this type of situation. Other countries have pledged assistance for the new camp under construction in Lesbos, a move neither residents nor the former inhabitants of Moria want. All around us we are hearing babies crying hungry, said Psaropoulos. We are seeing children who are bored playing on the street with sticks or whatever they can find. We are seeing very frustrated adults, very tired-looking individuals disillusioned with the process of asylum, which has seemed to be unable to deliver timely decisions, he added. Some people have been here for 2 years. They are tired of waiting. Understandably. Like, imagine you escape your home country because it's ravaged by war, and you want to make it to Europe for a better life for you and your family. And then you're stuck on an island in Greece for 2 years waiting to get to Europe. And then your settlement burns down. They're like, we'll build you a new one. And you're like, no, I just want to get out of here. The fire of the camp, which was holding 4 times the number of people it was supposed to, has returned the spotlight to the migration crisis facing the EU, which has struggled to find a response that goes beyond temporary fixes. Greek authorities have refused any mass transfer from the island, located a few miles off the Turkish coast, despite growing hostility from residents, angry after years of being the brunt of the crisis. But officials said they were determined to provide shelter and proper sanitation and prevent a humanitarian catastrophe. As of today, asylum seekers will start coming into the tents into safe conditions, Migration Minister Notis Mitarachi told reporters at the site. The need to bring the situation under control has been made more urgent by the fact that authorities have lost track of 35 camp residents who had tested positive for coronavirus earlier this week. That's very dangerous, because that could easily spark a huge outbreak of coronavirus in the island. It's not good. Health authorities have promised to conduct rapid tests at the entrance of the new camp, with a quarantine unit ready to anyone testing positive. On Friday, 200,000 rapid detection kits for the virus were flown to the island for an extensive testing drive that would include asylum seekers and islanders. That's good. That's a good thing that they're doing that, because they really need to, get track of if coronavirus is spreading there, because it could be disastrous. The World Health Organization said Greece had asked for the development of an emergency medical team. 2 such teams, one from Belgium and one from Norway, were expected to arrive on Saturday and Monday. Still, the unsanitary conditions being endured by Moria's former inhabitants in the fields and streets of Lesbos has caused deep alarm. This is a health bomb. These people haven't even had access to water all these days. They cannot even wash their hands. Martina Pagoni, president of Athens and Piraeus Hospital Doctors Union, told Sky Television. Many of the asylum seekers in Moria described life there as being worse than much of what they had endured on their long, often painful journeys toward what they hoped was a better life in Europe. Human Rights Watch said the Moria fires highlight the failure of the European Union's hotspot approach, which has led to the containment of thousands of people on the Greek islands. European leaders should share responsibility for the reception and support of asylum seekers. Also, Greek authorities should ensure that respect for human rights is at the center of its response to this fire, the rights group Eva Kos said in a statement. And that's the end of the article. However, I want to expand on this a bit more. So this is clearly a terrible situation that these people are going through, like 12,000 people, essentially in a camp that was meant to hold only, 3 times less people? It's terrible. The camp was way too small for the amount of people that there are. And, if the camp truly is like they're saying, really, really bad, they can't wash their hands and stuff, how are they going to prevent corona from spreading? It's a ticking time bomb. Luckily, those teams from Norway and Belgium are going there to help, but still, it's a terrible situation. But beyond that, this definitely does show that the European Union's approach to asylum seekers is not the right way to do it. We shouldn't put the burden on one or a few countries to kind of take on a lot of people all of a sudden, because we have gotten a lot more people from certain areas like Syria within the last few years due to the instability in the region. And we as a whole, as the European Union, we should find solutions to take that load of people on together. I know it's a challenge logistically, because Greece is very close to Syria physically. That will make it easier for them to take on people just because of that alone. I understand. But we need to come up with systems and solutions where we can distribute that weight onto the whole of the European Union, not just a few countries like this, because it doesn't work clearly. Greece can't handle this amount of people, and then we have 12,000 people in this terrible camp, and then the Greek government comes in and like, well, now they're being unruly because their fucking home burned to the ground, and they're like, we want to leave, we don't want to be here anymore, we've been here for a long time, it's terrible here, we want to leave, understandably. And the Greek government's like, let's clap their asses with some police, here's some tear gas. That's a fucking terrible response. Absolutely horrible response from the Greek government to do that. Or the government of Lesbos, I should say, to do that. Just terrible, terrible situation. We need better solutions for this on the EU level so that this doesn't happen, because we're going to be having refugees in the future as well. This is not going to go away all of a sudden. Like, Western countries are one of the big reasons why the Middle East is so unstable currently, and why there's so much problems there. We are part of the reason why that exists. I say we as in Western countries, not like, oh, it's Finland's fault specifically, or it's Sweden's fault specifically. I mean Western countries. And we need to pay back by helping them when they want to come here and be like, hey. And also, one other reason why we're going to have more migrants in the future is climate change. Some areas in the world are going to become basically uninhabitable, or their resources will become dwindled because of climate change. And those people are going to understandably move to colder areas where there is more room, which will be Europe and Northern Europe as well. We need to have better mechanisms in place. We need better systems, because this is not going to stop. This will continue, and we need to handle it better than this. This is not how we treat people. This is not how we treat refugees. Sniff, it's kind of ironic when Finnish politicians don't want to share the burden of refugees from local hotspots. If/when something goes down in Russia, Finland is going to be swamped, and then having those mechanisms in place would benefit Finland a lot. Exactly. Yes. Because we can't know where those hotspots are going to be. I mean, we can make some guesses now based on certain parameters, but there's a lot of unrest in Russia right now. Like, over the summer, my dad was talking to me about this. There's been a lot of unrest in the very east of Russia, where the people there are tired of the centralized government and have been protesting openly, and it has been spreading. I don't know what the situation is now. This was in end of July. My dad was talking about this. But I mean, what if we can play to this scenario? What if there's a huge revolution in Russia again, which will cause a lot of chaos and displace a lot of people? A lot of people will come to Finland at that point. Like, we can never know where this will come from. Maybe in Sweden, in 50 years, something happens that makes Sweden completely unstable. We don't know. We just can't know. We have no idea where these hotspots are going to be in the future. They can be anywhere. They can be anywhere. And we have to be ready as a group, as the European Union. We have to be ready to take on this burden together, so that individual countries don't have to take care of that. Not in our backyard, yeah. Yeah, this is what I've heard from my Russian stepmom as well, Sniff. Yeah, like she's saying that it has never been like this. Yes, that's exactly what my dad was also saying, like that this is unprecedented, that people are protesting so openly against the Russian government. This situation is bad, and we need to come up with something on a European level to handle this, because this won't go away. These types of refugee crises are going to be happening more around the world, and we're gonna have to deal with that stuff. And the solution is not close the borders, because that's not an option. Because what are you gonna do? You're gonna literally have to start shooting people at the border? Like that's the extreme that it will lead to if the crisis becomes too big, and that's not an option. Let's hope we won't be alive when this happens. Well, it's already happening. That's the thing. This is already happening. I mean, if you mean the migrant crisis, unless you mean the climate change stuff, yeah, we need to fix. That's a completely different topic. But the climate crisis is terrible, and capitalism is to blame. It's capitalism. It's capitalism. Capitalism. Capitalism is the problem. It's capitalism. It's here already. Yeah. It's here already. Yes. Yes. Yeah, but yeah, in conclusion, what's happening in Greece is terrible. The government in Lesbos is not handling it great. I know that it's a very difficult situation for them. But, you know, clapping down on the protesters and shooting them with tear gas is not a great option. It's not good. And we, as the EU, need to come up with a better system to handle this together, because the situation is not going to go away. Yeah, we need to treat them like people. These are people. We can't treat them like this. We have to come up with a better solution, right? Hey there. Thanks a lot for watching this video. If you like it, please hit that thumbs up to give me a like for the video and subscribe for future videos. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, or you can come visit my stream on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Central European Time, and I'll be answering any questions you got there and playing some games while we're at it. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye!